Eskamani. Making her appearance. So everyone, as y'all know, I am proud to serve District 47 as your State House representative. This is your home right here in the district. For those who don't know, we stretch all the way up to Winter Park and down to Belle Isle. So we really wanted to pick a location that was central, accessible, parking was going to be easy. I mean, we thought about all these elements when we picked this office. And I want to give a quick shout out to our team who helped put everything together. Lauren Cooper, Alex Whedon, all of our amazing interns. We were here till 2 a.m. prepping. I hope y'all really enjoy it. And again, we want to make sure that this is your home. Many of y'all know that we had an incredible campaign that got us here. So every moment is really meaningful. And every person who's in here, you played a huge part in who we are today. And you continue to be the reason why we fight every day in Tallahassee. I was sworn into office on November 20th. Yay. And we have been hitting the ground running since then. And actually, we just talked about, we posted online today that we've served over 200 constituents in this office already. Wow. Yeah. So we're doing our part to respond to the needs of everyday Floridians right here in District 47, really from so many regulatory perspectives. And I just want to recognize that a lot of the work that we do in the state legislature is not just fighting for issues that matter, but it's also just being your liaison to the state. And whether it's issues with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, DCF, we've had our hands with work with the Department of Health. We're doing everything we can to meet the needs of our small businesses here, of constituents, of environmental advocates, to make sure that from a regulatory perspective, the state's doing its job. And so we're honored to do that every single day. Yes. Of course, on the advocacy perspective, we campaign on so many important issues that we're fighting for every single day. As a state house member, we're a little bit restricted and limited. We can only file 6 bills. We can file unlimited repealer bills, and we can do a limited budget request, but then when it comes to the proactive agenda that we campaigned on, a lot of it is playing defense every single day in the Florida House. And whether it's public education, protecting the environment, fighting for affordable housing resources, fighting for gun safety provisions, keeping guns out of our college campuses, and out of our public schools, all the way to, amen for that, absolutely. We gotta arm our teachers with textbooks, not with guns. Alongside doing our part to make sure that we have access to health care. And y'all know that I worked at Planned Parenthood for 6 years before I stepped into this work. And we're grateful to have some protesters today. Y'all know that I love a good protest. So when I saw them in the parking lot, as I was walking in too, I shook each one of their hands who let me. And told them, y'all know the rules, stay on the sidewalk, don't block driveways, you're going to be fine. And so that's the beauty of our democracy, is that we can each have these perspectives and hopefully find common ground, right? And we take every issue with an open heart. We have empathy for every person out there. And I've been really thrilled by the collegiality in the legislature, but also just the love that each one of you has shown us each and every day. And thank you for being our advocates here in the district. To speak about the layout, and then I'm happy to take questions if folks have it. But it is a really tough environment in Tallahassee. Not only being a freshman, but being a minority means that every obstacle you can think of is placed in front of us. And so from your committee appointments to how much time you have to prep for meetings, you're always working under the clock to the point where I know our team, we're at the Tallahassee building till 1 a.m., and doing our part to make sure that you have a strong and effective advocate, whether it's local control, making sure that cities like Orlando can be Orlando and not face preemption on different issues that we care about, to arts funding. We have some arts leaders in the space. Yes. We've been fighting really hard to restore the state's arts and culture grant program back to what would be fulfilling all the grant programs approved. That's about $62 million. We keep advocating for that. And right now, the legislature budget recommendations have come out, and though we're not at $60 million, we are a little bit better than we were before, and we feel really confident that we can keep getting it up. And so we keep fighting and holding our budget chair men accountable to make sure that they are hearing us loud and proud, and that arts advocates are in the building as well, amplifying the economic impact of the arts alongside the altruistic purposes of supporting arts and culture funding. Other issues that are on the docket, of course, we talked about healthcare. Women's health is on the line again. And right now there's several bills that have been filed that restrict access to a safe legal abortion. And I want y'all to know that no matter what your perspective is on abortion, whether you would make your own decision to raise a child or choose adoption or end a pregnancy, that it should always remain between you, your family, your doctor, and your faith.
Woo! That's right.
Not politicians, not protesters. It should be made between you and your family. And we stand unapologetic on all those issues. And right now there is an effort on parental consent to make it more burdensome for a minor to access an abortion. Right now in Florida, the process is already quite burdensome for a young person. They have to get a judicial bypass unless they talk to the parents about it. And so at the end of the day, a lot of the attacks you see coming out of Tallahassee, less about good policy, more about testing the courts. Because we know in Florida that we now have a Republican governor, we still have 2 Republican chambers, and now a state court that is tipped towards a conservative agenda. And so a lot of these issues, whether it's preemption, rights restoration, school choice, a lot of these issues are going to be tested in the courts. And that's why having a fight in the Florida House is so critically important. I'm sure y'all saw Amendment 4 recently. We received a lot of phone calls about Amendment 4 in this office, so I'm glad our district is in tune and getting connected. Right now, the bill that the House has rolled out to implement Amendment 4 would require court fees to be paid, which is not a part of restitution, it's not what the voters wanted, and we're going to do everything we can on the House floor to fight back against that bill. Of course, another issue on the docket is immigration. Y'all know that I'm a working class daughter of immigrants. I am the immigrant story, so is my sister, so is everyone in this room. Unless you were of an indigenous background, we were all immigrants one day. And we're fighting really hard to protect those who are most marginalized. There's a dangerous piece of legislation. We're calling it the Family Separation Bill. They're branding it as sanctuary cities, so there's no such thing as a sanctuary city in this state. They do not exist. And this bill is so broad and wide-sweeping that it would provide absolutely no type of limit to what ICE can do, including on our college campuses. And so we're doing our part to be aggressive against that bill and to really paint the picture that Republicans once cared about people of color. Yes. I mean, that's the reality of it. It wasn't that long ago where you had Senator Marco Rubio leading immigration reform and legislators in the Florida House and Senate supporting licenses for undocumented students versus undocumented dreamers. And so we want to also hold them accountable that a lot of this is pandering. Again, it's not policy, it's pandering. And you can count on us to always push back and bring up those, put the hammer down and bring up those good points. Real quick, I want to talk about education and I'll open up to questions if folks have it. Education is something that we're all very passionate about. I'm a proud graduate of Orange County Public Schools, K through 12. We have teachers who are here today. If you're a teacher, give us a shout. Yes. And I have to tell you, back to my committee appointments, so I'm on some very dry committees, including local federal Veterans Affairs. I serve on Public Oversight, Transparency, and Management. That's a long one. Ways and Means. Tax Queen. So I've been learning all about taxes, because I'm 28 years old. I've only filed taxes for about 10 years. So having the responsibility of making decisions on our tax system is something I do not take lightly. So I've been diving deep into the tax world, reading Florida's tax handbook, and calling out tax exemptions and benefit corporations any time that I get. And the fourth committee I serve on is Pre-K to 12 Quality Subcommittee. Now I'll say, this is the committee that does not deal with school choice bills. And again, that's on purpose. They put me in a space where school choice bills won't move forward. Instead, I get to debate bills about putting a class about the Bible. And it was going to be a bill that would create a whole new course just focused on one holy book. And those are the type of issues that the legislature prioritizes and moves forward. So I get to debate on some issues, but this week on the House floor, we're going to have both expansion of the guardian program, which would continue to support the idea of arming our teachers, alongside school choice legislation. So we're going to be on the ground fighting. I'm a firm believer in school choice, but it also means not leaving behind the parents who choose public education.
That's right.
And so we're going to do our part to make sure that we hold any for-profit school to the same standards of accountability to public schools. I did file a bill that would require structurally sound buildings, in the sense that if you're building a new charter school that receives public dollars, a new private school, then you have to meet the same building standards as a county school. And my reason for doing that is, A, we want kids to be safe, absolutely, but what a double standard that we continue to perpetuate. How can a public school compete with these for-profit charter schools when they're meeting completely different standards of testing, of infrastructure, of capital investment. It's impossible for us to compete at that level. So let our school teachers become professionals, increase their salaries, do our part to make sure that that more young people go into education, and that we prioritize an even playing field for public schools to succeed. And we're bringing up all those points and lifting up your personal stories on the House floor this week. So there are so many issues, and I do want to recognize some people in the room. I know Lydia Passano is here. And Lydia, are you still on the City Bill aisle?
Yes.
Yes. So with the City